Gone somewhere and dyed my hair now. Wanna be alone. It's much to bear and you don't care. And I wanna play alone. I got you in my sight. I keep all of what you said to me. I get you, get you, get you, get you on your knees. Rewind all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you, get you, get you. Now you beg me, please. Hey.
Hey, everybody. I want to say that I have the best OG mod on YouTube, and I will fight you if you say otherwise. 2.5 years this woman has been with the evening crew, the Eve train, the off and on content, the craziness. So everybody give a shout out to Gma because she's been here through thick and thin. She deserves the best. We're going to have to get you a cruise or something. We're going to have to go on a cruise, Mr. Eve, because she earned it. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Are you okay with cruises, Gma? Yes. Hi, Miss Rubug. Julia T, of course, Mr. Eve. Who are you fighting in the chat already? Wow. Hi, hi, Opal. Dropping in to say hi. I'm number one on the like. Awesome. Thank you for being here. It's been a while. Good to see you. And anyone else coming in, watching in the back, lurking around, hit that like button while you're here. It's free. All right. So what are we going to talk about? This is very important. I think that, of course, because my algorithm is screwy, I don't go live as often or make content as often as I did at one point or throughout the few years. It's always going to be a little hard to grab an audience, but I'm hoping that it picks up steam eventually because this is very important on how missing person rewards work, specifically in Sebastian Rogers' case in Tennessee. All right. It's extremely important to understand this because a lot of people just go, oh, rewards. Okay, then I'm going to do more of a due diligence to get posters out there and things like that. And they think that is going to somehow assist in getting reward funds. And that's like a motive. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great motive to just get you out there to do what you need to do and advocate in that way. However, of course, posters only go so far to keep the missing child in your mind, right? Reminders, and just in case you actually see or spot the missing child or what you think is the missing child to generate a lead. All right. But let's look into the legislator part or the legislation part of missing person rewards. This is going to make a lot of sense on a multitude of different subjects. One, what's the criteria? How does a missing person get a reward? Two, who makes that call? Who gets to say at the end of the day, this reward is approved and how much are they worth? And I say that and I mean that with all of my chest, right? Because it's the truth. Depending on the circumstances of the case, what little they have or what they lack or do not lack is kind of the factors that I'm seeing it sways the amount of what that child is worth in a reward and what's allowed. And that's just the cold hard facts of it, unfortunately. So let's look into it. I think everybody's going to benefit from this because when a reward comes out, you're going to know, okay, this is probably what's going on in the background without actually getting any verification because FBI and law enforcement are not going to tell you shit. We know this, as they should keep it close to the vest. It's still, for people who are curious as myself and want to know kind of why they are doing what they're doing, just for the knowledge sake, for not being kept out of the loop. There are ways around it, and this is one of them. So give me just a second to get the photos pulled up that I have screenshotted because I sleuth on my phone a lot. I have a baby, so I'm a little unorganized typically in lives. However, at the end of the day, this stuff is chef's kiss, because it's not always about what you know at the time. It's about how to find it, right? It's about how you find it. And typically when you're looking into something like this, like okay, for instance, Sebastian Rogers' reward is $50,000. How did they get to that number, right? What made them say that's what's going to bring him home or generate leads to either find him and bring him back home or capture the person who took him and to get justice, right? And that's where my brain went when this came out. So, of course, here is the missing persons poster that they put out on the TBI newsroom. Let's go, while I'm loading all of these, because it's on my iCloud backup, let's just look at the TBI newsroom real quick and just make sure we fully understand what they said recently, because people will jump to conclusions, I think it's a good idea. By the way, they're hiring an intelligence analyst if anybody's interested in the Tennessee area. Recruiter Eve is on the scene. Ooh, look, 3 men arrested in Johnson City human trafficking operation. Oh, no. Thank God that happened, but it's very sad that it's continuing to be a thing there. I mean, it's, as we all know, in the Summerwell's case, it's a possibility that's on everybody's mind, right? All right, I'm just going to Google it. Gmail says at the end of the investigation, if clues given by, let's say, 2 people were 60-40, then that's how it would be disseminated. Right. Trooper Paul is disqualified. Thank you, Jesus. I'm going to have to look into that, Thomas T. All right. Let's just recap this. Amber Alert status, Sebastian Rogers. By the way, if you didn't know, let's just get the information out before I read this. Sebastian Rogers went missing on February 26, 2024. He has blonde brown mixed hair. He's 5'5", 120 pounds, white. And again, the FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the whereabouts of Sebastian, right? In Hendersonville, Tennessee. He was last seen in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville. He was wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and black square frame glasses. Sebastian has medical conditions, including autism, that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. If you have any information, please contact the Sumner County Sheriff's Office at the number listed there, or at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND or tips to TBI at tbi.tn.gov. You may also contact your local FBI office or your local PD. All right. So this was on 8/26. Scroll in here for us blind folks. Today marks 6 months since Sebastian Rogers was reported missing from his Sumner County home. The Amber Alert remains active. TBI special agents from multiple units continue to assist the Sumner County Sheriff's Office in efforts to locate Sebastian. In addition to following up on leads and tips as they come in, agents continue to review and reevaluate all of the information gathered to date. Today, the FBI Memphis Field Office, keep that in mind, right here. The FBI Memphis Field Office, Nashville Resident Agency, announced the offer of a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the location and return of Sebastian, or to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for his disappearance. Those are the conditions. Let me repeat that. Information leading to the location and return of Sebastian, or, and I'm assuming or the arrest and conviction of those responsible for his disappearance. Memphis Field Office. Now, I do want to mention, as I was researching, the Memphis Field Office, and I believe not Nashville, but another office is combining, and I believe the head office is going to be Nashville. Or maybe it's the other. Let me look at it. They're combining two offices into one. And this is very recent. Knoxville, there it is. So FBI Director Christopher Wray visited the Memphis Knoxville offices as FBI in Tennessee becomes centralized in the new Nashville office. So Knoxville, Memphis, some of their departments are all centralized into the Nashville field office, and I believe that they're just using the others for whatever they see fit. From my understanding in this article, it's going to be more convenient for not only the FBI or TBI, but also to coordinate easier with searches and things like that. So a more centralized location would mean it would be easier for people to, on last minute notice, go search, go investigate, things like that, which makes sense. And you're going to save money. That's what we all want. Taxpayers deserve that. So if it's more efficient, awesome. Tennessee needs all the help they can get with that. So he shows up, I'm sure, not just to look at the facilities. I'm sure there was more to it, because you do need certain powers that be in the FBI to sign off on things, right? So he shows up, does all of these things. But here, listen to this. Tennesseans may find the changes a bit unsettling due to the failure of legislation this past session that would have protected citizens in the state from being a target of any federal investigation that would include the use of state and local law enforcement. Ooh. So people were a little miffed that the FBI was, in their opinion, overstepping their boundaries, right? So if you think that legislation does not have an effect on these missing children or a missing persons case or even a criminal investigation in itself, you've got it wrong. Legislation is crucial and always will be. As boring as it is to listen to and to dive through, if you don't know what's going on in the background of how these investigations can work, you might as well give up on true crime. If you want to know new information or try to help, all of those things, you got to know. And it sucks because you really got to search, read. Ugh, it's awful. Legislation is everything. So get involved in your local law enforcement and what they're doing. The budgets, the city hall meetings, all of it. All right. So just wanted to let you know that. So there's 2 criteria. As I just mentioned, anyone with information concerning the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers is encouraged to contact the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, as you know, here at 615-451-3838 TBI, at 1-800-TBI-FIND, and then this email tips at tbi@tbi.tn.gov. Contact your local FBI office. Hell, contact your local PD, doesn't matter. Nearest American Embassy. Call all the folks. Call everybody. Okay? So this $50,000 reward is really the only information that's updated from the last update of April 25th. Okay? TBI special agents back in April 25th updated all of us that special agents from multiple units have been assisting the Sumner County Sheriff's Office in efforts to locate Sebastian. I believe the chief of police has passed away, or the sheriff rather, which is really sad. Rest in peace. It's horrible. And it says that they've done a lot of shit, y'all. And I know that it's not really professional to say that, but look, we all know that they have been searching. They have been doing their jobs. Law enforcement is working their ass off. No matter what creator wants to say that they're not doing their due diligence or what parent wants to say they're not, they are. I have listened to the 911 dispatch for weeks. They are doing their jobs. They have not given up. Sometimes these cases just do not produce any of those leads that go anywhere. We saw it in the Michael Vaughn case. We're seeing it in the Michael Vaughn case and Summerwell's case and others. It just happens that way. Okay? These things take time. All right. So off of that, now let's go on to the nitty gritty of why I'm going live today. Ooh, yay, they loaded. Great. So I wanted to know exactly why and who makes these decisions. And I'm going to show you. It's called the Publicly Advertised Rewards Policy Directive. Right here. This is going to give you everything you need to know about how these reward systems work. This is an unclassified version. There is a 2021 version, but literally nothing has changed except for like who signs off on what. It's really not a big deal. It's pretty much the same. Okay, let me pull this other one up. That's a little bit more detailed. Okay. Okay, that's the next one. So, authorities. This is important. So you can go look at the United States Code, these 2 sections, and then 28 U.S.C. 53B1L. And then the Department of Justice has a budget program execution instructions and templates, policy on Department of Justice rewards, which I'm about to show you. So basically, without getting into droning on and on about law and the sections of the code of the United States, I'm going to summarize it as best as I can. There are people within the FBI field office, and in this instance, it would be the Memphis FBI, okay, who signs off on the details that are already put forth in the policy of these sections. All right. And as an accountant, this is the Federal Accounting Standards Board. I'm very familiar with why they need certain things when I was looking at it, which we're not going to go into, but I was like, ooh, that's my jam. That's what I do. And the reason why it seems kind of cold when I'm describing what I'm about to describe to you on the hows and whens and how much a child is worth monetarily with the reward system is because of the accounting folks, because they have to. That's what the advisory boards approve. So they have to say, you must meet these criteria in order to have those rewards offered to that child. So it's really technically policy. That's it. Right? So it seems cold, but it really isn't. It's just data driven. Okay. So this policy directive, PD, establishes policies and procedures of authorizing, offering, approving, and paying monetary rewards to members of the public based on publicly advertised solicitations, for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the subject of an investigation. That is basically, I could have summed this whole live up by saying that, but I don't want you to speculate too hard on what this means. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Let me rephrase this. Or let me repeat it, Information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the subject of an investigation. They want the information that leads to what happened and how they're going to pursue justice. Right? And as we saw, as I read before, the important two pieces that the FBI stated were trying to find him and or justice. Arrest of who did what to Sebastian Rogers. Okay? Because if you think about it, one has to go with the other, right? Yes, somebody could have taken him in and thought it was innocent, right? Let's just say, hypothetically, he was walking down the road after running away and they took him in and they had no idea. They were just trying to do the right thing. And they're not going to prosecute them because they took care of him and they just didn't know where to go from there. I don't know. Just as a really bad example. But more than likely, if you're going to find Sebastian Rogers one way or the other from whoever took him and put him wherever, there's going to be legal ramifications for it. So if you think about it, they're one and the same to me. The outcomes are going to be based on who did it, right? So they want to know what happened. But here's the big part. Here's the big words here. Subject of the investigation. You're going to see that this is probably already going to be established already before the reward is approved. All right. Policy statement, big deal. Appropriate use of words. Rewards must only be offered on a selective basis and should be limited to cases in which logical avenues of an investigation have either been concluded without success or appear unfruitful. Logical avenues, so logical forms of reasoning as to what happened to Sebastian. Well, what do we know about the case? We know he went missing after going to, was it Playmania? Whatever that bowling place is, or dinner, right? I can't remember which one it was now. I'll look it up here in just a second, but he was going home and the mom said that they arrived, went to bed at, 10 something. She heard a thud. She went to bed at midnight, woke up at 6, realized that Sebastian was gone. And there was video footage that I had covered many, many times in my theories on that. Um, that that police are being very elusive on and weird about, and said that it could be part of the investigation in the future, but it's nothing now. Like, we don't really know the truth. However, it is part of the investigation. It is part of the case file, that footage of the neighbor. The neighbor's camera pointing towards the house when we see those two sources of light moving. So, with that being all that we know of, which I'm sure they know a lot more, we're going to assume that they just need that final piece of the puzzle. And $50,000 may mean a lot to someone who is not well off, but knows some information that has no stake in the game. 50 grand can take care of you for a little bit, pay off your debt, right? It's not 100, but it's a decent amount. It could be, it could be a lot worse. It could be 10,000. Not a lot of people do much with that from the statistics. So, okay, moving forward. The following are issues that must be considered before offering a reward. The reward offer may be only when the FBI has jurisdiction over the crime or activity, and we know that the FBI does with missing children's cases. The likelihood that the public offering of a large sum of money could result in the submission of false information by the public to the FBI and require additional resources to determine its truthfulness. This is a big one. What if somebody who is out there, who knows exactly where Sebastian is and what happened to him and how he disappeared, wants to fuck with law enforcement or the FBI to deter them from getting any other tips that they feel like maybe somebody was watching them, maybe somebody was unwittingly seeing the crime happen, because perps get paranoid sometimes, especially if they're trying to cover up a crime, but the FBI releases a reward. Sometimes they try to trick the police because they're so scared of being caught that they end up being their own demise. And sometimes this entices them to come out and play or see things move around, it scares them. It makes them move. And maybe that's why, right? So I think that that's why this policy, because there are subsections to this in more detail that kind of mention, is it worth the risk? Is it going to put somebody who you might think is still alive in danger? Which the reward would then not be out there if it would. So then my mind's thinking, well, maybe they believe that he is no longer living, allegedly. This is just my speculation, and don't run with it and say that I'm making up things. This is just my speculation, my opinion. But I could be wrong. But it does make sense to me. So the conditions for deciding who is entitled to the reward. The following is an additional reward guidance. Rewards are payments made to the public or to a class of persons and are separate and distinct from confidential sources. That's a different thing. That's informants. That's somebody basically being a spy for the FBI. It's a whole other ballpark. Does not count. A PI would be technically a confidential human source if they are working in direct with the FBI or local law enforcement. So, from my understanding of the law, an officer or employee of the governmental entity who provides information as part of his or her official duties must not be eligible for a reward. Now, that had to happen because police were sending in their own tips that they knew of beforehand. They already knew how to apprehend them and then did by using like their cousin or their wife or their whatever to report, and then they got the money. Isn't that fucked up? That ain't right. Sorry, I had a cough. So here's the roles and responsibilities of the financial division, which it is important. To prepare a reward offer, this is how it starts. Okay. The FBI says we need to get a reward out for whatever reason it is. We need to put out a reward of $50,000. That's what we're going to go with. This is how this comes to be. To prepare a reward offer, the requesting individual in the offering FBI headquarters or division, field office, FO, which is the Memphis field office, must prepare this form, FD 1057, in Sentinel. He or she must draft an EC under the appropriate case file number, which is just a document that explains, it's like a probable cause, basically. They must do these things: a summary of the investigation, the amount of the reward to be offered, and a detailed justification. Why was the $50,000 justifiable in Sebastian Rogers' case? I'm going to check him in chat before I begin because I have not looked at all. I'm sorry. Oh, y'all are talking about our kiddos. That's awesome. Yeah, it says up to 50,000. And so there is another caveat, right? How do you divvy up that 50,000? What does that mean? What's the baseline? Is it $0? $1, right? It's a very good point, Chris. And it depends on how the person came to that information. Yeah. Did they close this case for them, basically, to get that 50K? So, the criteria, now this is the big one. This is the big potato. The criteria by which an individual will be considered eligible for leading to, again, that identification, arrest, and conviction of the subject of the investigation, basically proving their entire case for them, for leading to the recovery of a kidnapped victim and the identification, arrest, and conviction of the person responsible, or the information leading to the arrest and conviction of a subject responsible for the felonious killing of a police officer in the line of duty, that's not the case here. Also, the nature of the media by which the request will be made. The prepared text to be used must be in strict accordance with the Office of Public Affairs, Media Relations at FBI headquarters. To ensure that the roles and names of the individuals listed on the approval section of the EC comply with the levels of approval set forth in subsection 8.2.2 of this PD, including the following individuals on the distribution list: the unit chief, the budget, blah, 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 blah. All of these folks in the FBI and the Attorney General's office, who actually makes the legislation that approves it. So all these folks have to sign off on it. And there you go. But there is one more thing. This is where the actual legislation says this is how we said the $50,000 is appropriate, right? There's levels. So anything up to $50,000, there's a criteria for that. Anything over that, there's another set of criteria, which basically means public. If there is a danger to the public, obviously reward is going to go up for information because they want to get whoever it is off the streets there. And the less dangerous, of course, the amount goes down, which makes sense, right? Chris says, so basically the person who is giving the info either did it or is very close to the person who did it and was holding back info. And It could be, yes. That is, from my point of view as well as yours, it seems. Yes. Yes. Absolutely, Chris. So once a reward is offered and approved, the DOJ basically will work with, this is GCJ. It's like a group of folks that get to approve things, big things like reward funds and all that stuff, with other bureaus within the Department of the State and with other partners as appropriate to develop these policies and procedures. Blah, blah, blah. Because the USC is more in, they make policies that are about, anti-terrorism laws. Kidnapping is in their minds, looking at foreign national affairs kind of things, they call it terrorism, which we do have within, right? And I don't want to say that too many times on here or YouTube's going to flag my ass, but it also applies to public safety. So they use words that we would hear, in the Oval Office, right? But that's what they mean publicly for us Americans, regular old Joe Schmoes. Announcement of rewards offers will include a concise description of the relative fugitive or crime, the means by which potential informants may contact the department or the embassy, and a statement indicating that responses will be kept confidential. So, all in all, I could be very confident in what I'm about to say, but don't take it as 100% fact. From what I'm understanding, looking at the legislation and how the policies are presented, more times than not, a reward is being offered because they do have someone or a set of folks in mind as perpetrators, because they want to convict the person who harmed this child or who took him away. For whatever reason it is, they do, in my opinion, more likely than not, has a perpetrator or perpetrators in the Sebastian Rogers case. And because that reward is $50,000, which is the threshold in the policy of approval and justification for said reward, it looks like they need that one thing. They need that one person to go, I know exactly what happened and here's what happened. I know it. I wasn't trying to hide it from you. XYZ, this is it. Or it will make someone who's like, let me check that ring camera footage one more time. Let me check it one more time. Maybe I did not look thoroughly enough. And bing, bada, boom, it shows the whole crime going down. Just as an example, which shows the perpetrator, the identification of the perpetrator, where they went, or at least where it led the investigation to finding him, right? But there has to be a perpetrator in mind. Justification, probable cause for that reward to be put out there, right? I do not believe that there is a reward for Summer Wells or Michael Vaughn or Oakley Carlson's disappearance, and she's allegedly declared deceased. So there are more than there is a likely chance that they have perpetrators or a perpetrator in mind in the Sebastian Rogers case based on that information that I just provided. If you disagree or think that I'm out of line on that, let me know in the comments. But we saw what the justification for the reward to be approved was from the field office in the FBI, which is Memphis. What do you think? I think that they're onto something, and they need that just little bit more. They need that finality. They need the public. They need the community. So if the parents of Sebastian Rogers or the family of Sebastian Rogers is listening or get wind of this, listen to me now. Get your community on your side. and involved, call them, knock on their door, ask them to check it one more time, check the details, look at the any footage that they could one more time, because that might be how you find Sebastian. They need the identification of who took him where, because he did not vanish. Someone took him somewhere else. Period. Full stop. So get your community back on your side, because you've lost their trust on both sides. That's just my advice and suggestion to the family. I hope that they find their son, Seth Rogers and Katie. I really hope you find Sebastian, and please get back into your community's good graces to find him, if that's what you want. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. This was not going to be a long live, so I appreciate you listening to my legislation. Not my legislation, but you know what I mean. Me droning on about it, because it's important, those little things. If you want an answer, there's a way to find out. Always ask yourself how and why this came to be, and you'll find it. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead, weekend ahead, and I will see you on the next live. Drink your water, hug yourself, babies, your fur babies. Justice for Sebastian Rogers. See you on the next live. Bye.